I'm your host, Salim bin Mohammed Rafi. Here is my YouTube channel, Zamir Universal. Everybody, ever since I think 216, when the first time a non politician, a morally corrupt, a womanizer, a state developer, with all the sins one can think of, who never gave his income tax returns, never gave his any papers, took all the confidential papers. Even the first attack on the White House when the session was on and the speaker and the vice president had to save their lives to go down into the basement in rush was one single madman who the Americans keep electing. They elected him again and ever since been elected with his tariff war, with his erratic behavior, with his giving things which doesn't belong to him. Yet that you can annex Golan Heights, you can annex West Bank, you can go and move to the Jerusalem as a capital, as it belongs to his father. Only a madman, mentally deranged, can do this thing. I'm going to give you few clips from the past presidents of the United States who actually were. So the American people, I think you either even the Chief Justice of Supreme Court, Justice Kennedy, or the United Nations or the Congress or Senate does not need any other, I think, proof. With this, these clips include the opinions of the experts that the man is unfit, he is suffering from dementia, and he is unable and he is unfit in every single way to make decisions and carry the nuclear button in his hand. So this about time that he is impeached or removed, or on health basis he is asked to step down.
Buzzing with some intense news right now. It turns out a federal judge has just hinted at imminent arrest for members of Trump's inner circle. And this isn't just talk. One Trump attorney was arrested in the courtroom for contempt and perjury right in front of everyone. The judge hinted that this is only the start, with more arrests on the horizon. Trump's team is really on edge because they thought they could escape accountability while lying and obstructing investigations related to the January 6th events, but this judge made it clear they were mistaken. Over at the Justice Department, things have been ramping up as well. In a surprising turn of events, federal prosecutors involved in cases against President Trump have been let go, just as he indicated he would do. Within a short half hour, a dozen officials tied to criminal investigations regarding him were fired. Now, Congress is in emergency session, and you can see the media scrambling to keep up with these fast-developing stories. Honestly, it's hard to believe the lengths to which some of these folks thought they could go without facing real consequences. This judge isn't playing around. He's warned that anyone who lies or tries to block justice will find themselves in the same predicament as that lawyer. Capitol Hill is buzzing with some intense news right now. It turns out a federal judge has just hinted at imminent arrest for members of Trump's inner circle. And this isn't just talk. One Trump attorney was arrested in the courtroom for contempt and perjury right in front of everyone. The judge hinted that this is only the start, with more arrests on the horizon. Trump's team is really on edge because they thought they could escape accountability while lying and obstructing investigations related to the January 6th events, but this judge made it clear they were mistaken. Over at the Justice Department, things have been ramping up as well. In a surprising turn of events, federal prosecutors involved in cases against President Trump have been let go, just as he indicated he would do. Within a short half hour, a dozen officials tied to criminal investigations regarding him were fired. Now, Congress is in emergency session, and you can see the media scrambling to keep up with these fast-developing stories. Honestly, it's hard to believe the lengths to which some of these folks thought they could go without facing real consequences. This judge isn't playing around. He's warned that anyone who lies or tries to block justice will find themselves in the same predicament. It's quite the turn of events over at the special counsel's office. While the intent to investigate isn't shocking, it's interesting because we're talking about career officials who are expected to remain impartial. Their job is to investigate and follow the facts wherever they might lead, without facing retaliation for doing their work. Now, looking specifically at the January 6th cases, the charges of obstruction of justice do catch me off guard a bit. This really opens the door for a deeper look at how those cases were managed. We also can't ignore the criticism directed at the president for his broad pardons, which went far beyond what he initially suggested. He had claimed he wouldn't likely pardon anyone involved in violent acts on January 6th, yet here we are, as he has pardoned several individuals who were indeed violent.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon.
The judge made it clear that Trump's team has been treating the legal system like a joke, and it really speaks to the frustration felt in the courts. For years,
Former president will delay the court proceedings.
You know, one Trump tactic that he has brilliantly deployed is delay, delay, delay. And I think if, in fact, he's indicted, you're going to see efforts by Trump to delay it. For example, he might move to have the case transferred from state court to federal court, which could involve, extensive judicial proceedings that could postpone this through the presidential election of 2024. That has been Trump's mode of operation, and he is extremely good at it.
Moment, we're witnessing the shift from investigation to prosecution, from gathering evidence to making arrests. Accountability is finally becoming a reality. Now, Trump's inner circle is facing serious legal issues, with his associates being charged criminally and his entire operation looking at a thorough legal reckoning. The judge made it clear that this is just the starter pack. There's only been one arrest for now, but many more are expected. Anyone who lied to the courts is at risk, anyone who obstructed justice faces detention, and those involved in the conspiracy will be prosecuted. This message is sending ripples of panic through Trump's team, prompting folks to rethink their loyalty and making cooperation look a lot more appealing. With congressional pressure ramping up, there are demands for warrants and urgent action to ensure that law enforcement gets busy. In the coming days, we might see multiple arrests, with Trump's top advisors possibly detained and his inner circle facing prosecution. This all stems from a judge who decided to uphold the law, using immediate arrests as a message that no one is above accountability. Capitol Hill is really buzzing with excitement as these arrests kick off, and it seems like accountability for the events of January 6th is finally becoming tangible.
Saying impeachment isn't just possible anymore, it's mandatory. Picture this scene: 9 Supreme Court justices, including Trump's own appointees, unanimously declaring that the President of the United States is in direct violation of the Constitution and must comply immediately or face removal. We're not talking about some partisan split decision here. This was a complete judicial smackdown that has Trump's own party members abandoning ship faster than you can say 25th Amendment. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest, you can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real...
So ordered. The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill.
The Senate worked very fast after the House passed the bill with just one opponent.
The yeas are 427, the nays are 1.
It was quite an end for a bill that had divided Congress for months. Once signed into law, it requires the Justice Department to turn over documents from the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, the powerful financier accused of trafficking and abusing underage girls. According to authorities, Epstein committed suicide back in 2019, but he had a thicket of acquaintances in both parties, and many have long suspected that there is a client list among the documents.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert.
Democrats latched onto the Epstein matter after suspicions of Trump's associations with him.
Here's what makes this absolutely unprecedented in American history. The Supreme Court didn't just rule against Trump on a policy issue, they found him in active, ongoing violation of a lawful court order. The justices used language that constitutional scholars are calling the harshest rebuke of presidential power in the nation's history. They said, and I'm quoting directly from the ruling, that Trump's refusal to obey their direct order constitutes a direct attack on the Constitution and separation of powers. When the highest court in the land says the president is attacking the Constitution, that's not just a legal problem. That's grounds for immediate removal from office, and everybody in Washington knows it. The scene in Congress right now is absolutely chaotic, and I mean that in the most literal sense. Emergency meetings are happening behind closed doors. Impeachment articles are being drafted as we speak. And here's the bombshell nobody saw coming. Republican senators are publicly saying they'll vote to convict. We're not talking about the usual suspects like Romney or Collins. We're talking about hardcore Trump loyalists who are suddenly realizing that defending a president who openly defies the Supreme Court is political suicide. One senior GOP senator told reporters off the record that every day Trump ignores the court's order is another day of open constitutional violation that they can't defend to their constituents. The specific issue that triggered this constitutional crisis involves Trump's immigration and emergency powers, but honestly, the details almost don't matter at this point. What matters is that the Supreme Court gave Trump a direct order to cease certain actions, and Trump basically told them to pound sand. He's continued doing exactly what they told him to stop, claiming that as president he has powers that override the judiciary. That's not how America works. That's not how the Constitution works. And now Trump is about to learn that lesson the hardest way possible, through impeachment, conviction, and removal from office.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें। उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार जरूर।
Look, the Supreme Court of the United States, this institution that holds more power than almost any other in our democracy, gathered together for close to 3 hours. And what became clear to everyone watching wasn't just skepticism. It was something deeper. A fundamental unease about how President Donald Trump has been wielding tariff authority. Now, let me be clear about what we're really talking about here. This goes beyond trade policy or economic theory. What we witnessed was the moment when our highest court, a court with 6 conservative justices, 3 of whom Trump himself appointed, looked directly at the centerpiece of this president's economic agenda and said, in essence, you've gone too far. You've crossed a constitutional line. This is the story of how the Supreme Court started to recognize what legal experts have been sounding the alarm about since January, that this administration isn't playing by the rules. She declared that the president had violated the Constitution. She found that Trump had broken federal law. Her conclusion was unmistakable. The president had no legal justification to federalize the National Guard. His decision to deploy troops into Portland was unconstitutional. And then she did something unprecedented in American history. She became the first federal judge to issue a permanent order blocking a sitting president's military intervention in an American city. When you step back and look at these two moments together, the Supreme Court's deep reservations about tariffs and a Trump-appointed judge permanently stopping his military action, what emerges is a pattern the administration never saw coming. The American judicial system, after months of watching and waiting, has begun to push back. The courts are finally checking.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें। उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार जरूर